How do you tackle personal development and team growth while managing biases? Harpal Singh shares how he's mapped competencies for himself and his teams to deliver high value. Tune in to hear how he recognizes and manages the biases in his leadership and hiring.
So I've been quite diligent in terms of my own personal development because I'm a big believer in personal development of my team and myself to be able to consistently deliver high value. So what I do is for the last many years, I've been kind of mapping my own competencies, if you like, and also doing the same for my team to really understand what strengths do we have, what weaknesses do we have. So basically anything that I'm going to say to you about that is almost like validated from my peers and something I have heard of from people. So I don't like to kind of imagine things that, I think I'm great in this or I'm great in that. And it's all based on the feedback that I've received. So couple of strengths which are quite kind of easy and on top of my mind are entrepreneurial by nature. So ownership mentality. And I'll describe both together. The way I have worked on developing products or for clients or for companies directly, almost through my entire career, from the very beginning, I had this ownership mentality. I have always felt really, really responsible for making sure that if someone is bringing me on board, someone is trusting me enough to give me the responsibility of managing people, managing products, managing anything, that it is my responsibility to do my best to deliver them the best results that they want. So almost every action I take is kind of driven from an ownership mentality that I have. And this makes me more entrepreneurial as well in most cases. And the way I see entrepreneurialism is not just a person who's kind of doing 100 things together just for the sake of it. I think it's more of a kind of being more resourceful, as an example, utilizing the less resources we have or the less budget we have to really deliver the results, because I think it pushes for creativity as well. Then looking for creative ways for problem solving, looking for different ideas to bring people together, teams together that may not work together on their own naturally. So kind of bringing their entrepreneurialism. I think the kind of next strength I have, which goes hand in hand with this, is all around positive thinking. Again, if I look at my career trajectory, I have been quite satisfied with how I have progressed and how what kind of companies I've worked with. And I believe most of that has been possible because I have always been a very, very optimistic person. Kind of, I look on what's good, how can we improve from there. I try to look for good in people as well, and that has served me quite well. And again, I've been quite heavy on developing people in last 4 years or so. And this has been an interesting journey. I do see this as like a developing strength rather than like something absolutely strong. And one of the reasons I say it is developing is because the number of mistakes that I have made in my early career managing people is just ridiculous. Like, I am so embarrassed to even talk about those kind of mistakes. And I cannot believe I kind of made that. I'm sure like everyone does that, but it's just, it kind of shows me there's a long, long way to go. Then again, like looping in the same thread of entrepreneurialism, positiveness, it's about having high integrity. So one of the, if you like, my secret weapon for working with clients and delivering results to higher satisfaction is being very open, honest, transparent about everything. And I think that I was surprised like how few people actually have that level of high integrity. Like people would tell things to others that they want to hear just for the sake of it. And the way I have always seen is I need to do the right thing, even if it means I do not have this client, I do not have this job, or I do not have this project. But I need to tell the customers, the clients, the team what they need to hear. I think this is kind of a nice jump off point to my weaknesses as well. And one of the weaknesses is, although I've improved much in that, there's still a long way to go. That I think it's kind of the downside of being open, transparent, that I can be very direct and kind of just saying things on people's face and not realizing how something which is so simple for me, or how big of a deal it can be for them. So also, I have always been a very hardworking person and try to optimize for how can I kind of deliver more value and also push teams in that a little bit. And one of the complaints that I often get from my teams, my peers as well, is that I have to kind of balance out and not push teams too hard. And I think, again, it really varies from person to person, like how they take it. Some people find it really motivating. Some people can almost be pushed to the edge of burnout. And in my career, I've made one or two mistakes like that, where I've learned lots of lessons from there. So I really try to balance it there. I think one of the downsides of kind of being a leader, I would say, is that you have to be very careful about the words you choose and how you communicate those words. Because something as simple as an idea can become almost like the God's word for some junior PM who would just swear by it and do anything to kind of make it happen. And again, my approach has changed, and I'm again working on that a lot more to make sure that to think as much as possible from other person's point of view, to make sure that I assess the weight of my words correctly, and it doesn't put any kind of unreasonable pressure on people. And even though sometimes I'm not communicating in that way, my actions put that pressure on people. And it doesn't work if I just say, okay, hey, you don't have to work long hours, you don't have to do all of this, you're doing great. But still, I think I have to watch both my actions and both my words as well. And as an example, that 4 years ago, I used to kind of do quite a lot of work on Sunday evenings to prepare for the next week. And as naturally as a result, you would see lots of emails being shot to my kind of peers and my team members, and some of them kind of felt under pressure because of that, as a pressure to reply or respond, despite me saying that. So I had to kind of change that behavior over time. The third question, or the third part of the question you asked, was around biases. This is quite a deep topic, I believe, and I think almost all of us have so many biases in every area that exist, that it's almost impossible to overcome that. So I think one of the is, again, by the virtue of the projects that I have worked on, thankfully have been exposed to this probably more than others, to be able to at least realize that there are all these various categories of biases that exist, that whether you are trying it or not, it could just happen. And one of the examples I generally give people is from the hiring, that because at least in London, it's very multicultural, and people could come from all sorts of countries, from all sorts of places, and work and look in different ways and bring diverse opinions. And what you want to make sure is that you're not biased towards a certain culture, a certain person, a certain name, or anything. And this was so one of the examples I probably mentioned in the email as well. I have personally seen that no matter how hard I try, and I'm not sure whether it's true for you and others as well, no matter how hard I try, that if I look at the face of a person, there will be some sort of image created about that person, whether from their looks, from how they speak, from whatever they do. So during hiring process, what I tend to do is I never do the research upfront in terms of, okay, let me check them out on LinkedIn, let me check them out on social, let me see what their website and stuff. I think I like to kind of go into the first introduction call or the interview with almost like a blank state to really try to understand who they are. And I try to kind of give them 90% of the time of the overall call or a face-to-face meeting to really get deeper into telling me who they really are, as an example. So I wouldn't even go into the product management questions or technical questions or anything like that. It's about understanding who the person is. So the short answer to this biases part is that what I've been doing is kind of becoming more and more aware, and kind of realizing that those kind of biases, the microaggressions, they kind of exist in place. And again, A, changing my own behavior, and B, helping my teams to understand that as well. I think one more thing I must add is I had the pleasure of working across multiple countries within last few years. So like I spent 6 months in Belgium, a couple of months in US just within the last few years. And then last year I was working in China for 5 months. And I really thought that I was very, very adaptive. And only when you kind of go to completely the other end of the world, as in China, and you realize like how people work there, it can completely change your perception of what adaptive means and what diverse workforce means, and how to kind of adapt and work with those people from that perspective. So I think this, like, being exposed to various cultures, various backgrounds, various countries, and work ethics has really helped me, again, set expectations for my peers, for my clients, to see like how can we do great work, and how can at least I be more adaptive and work with a more diverse workforce.